Stream and chat. Pasted and in. Right. Hello everyone and welcome to ESRL season number 6. It is round 4. It's Singapore. It's a track I always love to see make an appearance. We've got 17 cars on the grid and we're going to have a fantastic race. And just to add to the excitement, listen to who's with me in the box.
Good evening everybody, how are we all doing? We're at my favourite street circuit and Wiggy has just spun out and put it into the wall. That probably will not be the last time we've seen it. And he's been disqualified.
Yeah. That is very unfortunate for Wiggy. So that's going to be his session over prematurely. Marcus in the chat saying he's gutted not to be racing, but best of luck everyone. His money's on Speed, his teammate of course. He can do this, says Marcus. So hopefully Speed can do something for him. Glowstick is taking his place at the moment in the other McLaren. Yeah, Sumo, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the penalties and everything situation in ESRL. Mar 10 and Marcus, you'll notice, aren't on the grid today. That's because they both have a race ban for getting a bit too angry at each other in Baku, shall we say, last week.
Yeah.
So they will not be taking part in this race, which gives DRL Lancer a huge chance to gain a significant gap on two of his closest rivals in ESRL. So we'll see how he does in particular. The Mercedes driver, I think, going to be the one to watch. Jack Alacco into Sector 3 in the meantime. Looks like he's going to be the first to set a lap.
Yes, he is coming around the final corner. Really got to commit around this final corner. Carried the speed. He's invalidated. He's committed a little bit too much there as Jack. And he's going to have to go around again to set up a lap. Who's coming next? Not Scotty, but it's Speed. So he will set the initial pace. Coming around the final corner now. Don't cut too much curb speed. Don't spin as you go through. What's it going to be? A 129.2 to set us off. Not a bad start to this, and at least you won't have Marcus there to perhaps come together with, as we saw in Abu Dhabi. What a bit of drama that was.
Don't take each other out again. Johnny Stokes going to be next across the line. Matty Jones has gone quite a bit slower than Speed on his first run. Johnny Stokes half a second down on Speed Alcoholic. Last week Johnny Stokes was your race winner, by the way, in Baku. I didn't catch the whole thing, but saw bits of it, and Johnny Stokes put in any fantastic performance. So it's all about whether he can continue that momentum, although Clemo did not manage to continue the momentum after he won the first race of the season, so we shall see. DRL Lancer is going to be hunting for a win, though, Sumo, because he's now gone 3 second places on the trot.
Yeah, I mean, that must sting, and let's see what he can do. He's finishing up his lap. Can he get a decent one in at 29.0, 2 tenths ahead of Speed's lap out there, so it could be a fight between DRL Lancer and Speed Alcoholic on our hands for pole position, perhaps, although there's still over half the grid to set a lap, so we've still got plenty of time to go out there and go racing, as somebody else has just set a lap. I want to say that was Matty Jones. I could be wrong.
Well, I will say I won't have too much sympathy until he matches my 6 race second place streak from APP Elite couple seasons ago. That was quite painful, and I don't think I didn't even win a race that season. So that's what he's got to be aiming for, 6 in a row. Currently on 3, so come on Lancer, you can do it. Just let Speed win this one, and you'll continue the streak. But lost Super Spy up to P4 in the meantime. Clemo P5 in the other Mercedes. Still not really continuing the momentum from that race win in round 1.
No, not quite. Next driver to cross the line, or at least on a lap, is Glowstick, so we'll see what he can do going around there, almost into the wall for the McLaren as he goes around. Very easy to do at turn 4. That wall is rather inviting as you sort of sweep out wide down Raffles Boulevard to start off that section of straight. One of 3 DRS zones around this track. You wouldn't think it, looking at it, you wouldn't think we'd get 3 DRS zones along here, but there you go. With the current layout, you might even get a 4th one if they start getting greedy. While the layout is still the way it is, but we'll see as they go around. It's a shame, really, that Martin and Marcus have got themselves a time penalty, as invalidates does Glowstick, well, race ban even. Because there's always a little bit of fireworks on the circuit while those two are out there. It's a very bitter rivalry between those two.
Yeah, I think that's what the problem was, Sumo. But yeah, Marcus is in the chat saying, Sumo, stop rubbing salt in the wounds. So he's equally gutted, I think, to not be on the grid tonight. I'm sure TF Mar10 is feeling similarly. But Ace versus Kings in the Haas. Looks like he's going to be the next to set a lap out there. Coming through Sector 1 now. It's a 27.2 through Sector 1. And down through Sector 2 now. The very mini left-hander that you've got to absolutely send it on to get right. Ace is hitting the apex of the right-hander after, but just being a little conservative on the exit. Same with the next corner. What about the old Singapore sling? Ace is going to send it through here, kind of, but not really leaping over the curb like you can do through there. Now down to the hairpin, really difficult corner to get right. I've DNF'd here in APP a couple seasons ago, where I locked the rears and just went straight into the wall. So it's a tricky corner to get right, that one, as Aces nearly spins it into the wall on the exit there. At the moment, looking quite conservative, I have to say. Not really using all the track on corner exits, but when he's nearly losing the rear on the exit, you can understand why on the opening lap. Let's see what the time is across the line. It's a 30.4, which puts in P8.
At least he didn't turn right on that new straight section there. That really would have put the lap into the bin there, wouldn't it? Luca Rapassa in the Aston Martin coming through to set his first time of the session. What can he do as he comes around the final corner? Looks pretty decent at 29.83. Goes pole by 0.003 of a second. Those are some tight margins.
Very, very tight. That's a great lap from Luca Rapassa, who I haven't seen before. I'm not sure if he was driving last week. Let me check. On track finishing positions. I can't see him, so I think this is his debut, Sumo. So we could have a contender on our hands here in Luca Rapassa in the Aston Martin.
Let me fact check that. There we go, because I swear this name is familiar to me. Maybe I've seen him somewhere else. ESRL. I'm looking back on past streams very quickly. That's season 5. You talk, Ghost, while I
Jack Alacco. In the meantime, through Sector 3, while Sumo goes and fact-checks me. Through the last few corners he goes. Speed Alcoholic just starting a lap in the meantime as well. Jack Alacco finally getting a lap on the board. Doesn't cut the curb this time on the last corner. It's a 31.0, which puts in P11 and splits the Hasses, but a long way off the pace in general. Finley coming through Sector 3, just had a decent race in APP, couldn't quite catch for the race win. Sumo was commentating on that one in Austria, but Finley is sort of getting used to no line. He's in APP Elite and he's here in ESRL as well, and he's gone fastest by a massive margin at 28.4. What a lap from Finley. Can anyone get even close to that?
Wow, what a lap that was. That's like a perfect lap out there. Getting used to no line, Ghost. Are you sure about that? I'm gonna have to fact check you on that one too.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
Wow.
I mean, he's got the pace to be doing pretty decently in ESRL, but I don't think. There you go. That's a bit more like it, as Lancer is only a 10th down with his next attempt, but still ahead of DRL. Lancer is no mean feat. And Finley, well, since joining X Esports, he's just gotten better and better.
Yeah, he'll be patting himself on the back there, I think, for that lap. But yeah, I think you're right about Luca Rapassa. At least he may have been a name familiar to me from the team event, perhaps. That's why he's new to me. Well, not so new to me, but new to you, perhaps. I'm not sure, to be honest. I do so many of these streams now, they all sort of merge into one at some point or another.
Well, we've got plenty of people out on laps at the moment, Scott included in the Haas, coming to the end of Sector 2 now. Just going to keep an eye on where the time is. It's 2 seconds slower, so no improvements to Scott. Lost Super Spy into the pit. We've got an Alfa Romeo of Finley coming in as well. What about Clemo coming through the final corner? Half a second up in Sector 2, and he improves up to P6. That's a decent lap from Clemo. He'll be looking to stay in around that sort of area come the end of this qualifying session. Oh, Scott just smacks into the pit lane speed limit sign as he comes in.
Well, I hope nobody needed that as they enter the pits. Marcus says he set an 28.8 last night. I was going 5 cents faster until I bottled, so if Lancer doesn't get better, then a 28.3, he's washed. Well then, that's the gauntlet set down by Lancer, and Finley's almost beaten that as well, but we'll see how that comment ages, Marcus, as we go along. But I'm going to take a little look over the standings, actually, just to see where we are. Where are my standings? Looking for them over there, maybe. I'm in the wrong section, I think. There we go, driver standings. These the right ones? They are. After round 3, oh, I have to open it in browser, it's so small.
Well, Matty Jones at the moment coming through the final sector, looking for a significant improvement at the moment. He's quite a way down on the pace of the rest of the pack. Coming to the last corner now in his Williams. What's the time going to be across the line? It's a 31.4. It's only an improvement of 0.3, and he remains P15 for now. B17 also on a lap in the AlphaTauri. That looked very slow through the old Singapore sling. And yeah, I think his problem at the moment is that, just from watching him for a few seconds, he's shifting up too fast. He's losing so much time on corner exits and on the straights, because it's one thing short shifting, but going up to 5th straight away is something else, going down towards the hairpin. So perhaps something to think about for B17 there, but he's going to be hoping for a little bit more pace as today goes on. Ace versus King's quite a way down in P13, surprisingly so. And looks like he's bailed on his current lap because he's not using any ERS, so he's going to try again once he crosses the line.
Yeah, it can be quite a scary circuit though, setting fast laps around Singapore. There's a lot of places where the car just doesn't want to behave, the tyres don't want to grip in and bite as nicely as you'd hope, and you know, turn 4 can be quite a tricky corner, and the final corner as well. I mean, it's a lovely little sling to the left as you go around. A speed is retired from the session in the pits, but he's coming out of the pits.
Yeah,
that's weird.
You know what I think, Sumo? I think he's pressed the wrong button.
That might be it. That might be it, and now he's left. Or maybe he's had to leave. Well, I'm not sure.
It's ruined Ace's lap because he had 2 McLarens in front of him as he exited turn 3, so not much he could really do about that. We've also got a Ferrari of Scotty on an outlap. A lot of people on outlaps. Lost Super Spy is on a lap though, just starting in the Red Bull, but there's a lot of traffic ahead, so he's got to hope that it all gets out of the way for him. He's coming down now, but he's approaching that traffic as he comes towards turn 6 rather.
Yeah, Singapore can be a very difficult circuit, though. It's a circuit I used to hate when I started my Formula One days, I suppose, of playing it as a super spy, almost into the wall. Ruins his lap for sure there, but it's a circuit I grew to love over time. And have I won here before? Probably not in official races, but I've definitely had podiums here before. It's a great little track. And just looking over the standings now, I've got them all up here. It's doesn't look how I thought it would. Marcus and Martin's fiery rivalry has seemed to leave them a little bit shortchanged in the standings, as DRL Lancer leads the way, 9 points ahead of Johnny Stokes, and there's Clemo on 31 points, then Lewis on 31 as well, then there's Speed and Short Marcus on 26 points each. Then there's 25 points for Lifebout, 24 for Martin. Then there's Reshka, Scotty, Aces, Jackalacco, Super Spy, Wiggy, Scott, Cheb, Womax, Palang, Blade, or B17, I guess, and GAG Greg as well. And then as far as the constructors goes, it's Mercedes leading the way on 85. Then there's the Ferraris on 53, 52 points for McLaren, just a point behind. Then there's Williams, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, Haas, AlphaTauri, and Alpine, as Super Spy has crashed at turn 3.
He certainly has, and that is the end of this session, so everyone's on their last runs right now, Finley and Lancer included, so let's ride on board with Finley as he's in Sector 2 at the moment, coming to the end of that sector, see if he can improve on his already very strong time.
Jacko into the wall.
Oh no, Jacko is improving as well. Finley is 3.5 tenths up in Sector 2. This could be a mighty lap from Finley, and I can't see Lancer beating it. He's only 2 thousandths up in Sector 1, so here comes the British driver in the Alfa Romeo who's improved an absolute huge amount in the last year or so. Through the final corner comes Finley, but he invalidates at the final corner in the same way that Jacko did at the start of the session. It was a 28-0. Lancer is backing out of his lap though, so what can Johnny Stokes do? He's down on his best in Sector 2, so I don't think anyone can challenge Finley anyway, unless someone like Clemo can bring something out the bag, or Lewis is out of the race just as qualifying rather, just as I ride on board with him. He was pushing very, very hard. Scott also with no front wing. Everyone's screwing up their final runs. Clemo comes to the line, the only one to complete a lap, and it wasn't even faster than his last run, and that is going to be that for qualifying. Finley on pole position.
Lancer equals washed, says Marcus in the chat. It aged very well. There we go. Sorry guys, I'll not be able to race. I have to leave because of load shedding.
Yeah, it's they have to turn the power off periodically in South Africa.
Ah, really?
Yeah, and for certain areas, and obviously it's hit speed at a crucial time. That's why he wasn't in APP as well. He got load shedding at the wrong time, and now he's had it in the middle of ESRL as well.
That sucks.
It really does, especially given how strong his pace was in qualifying today. Only 2 tenths off Finley, and that was with 1 lap. So what could he have done if he'd been able to go again? I do wonder. But I think Finley it's his race to lose here. Lancer didn't look like he was going to be anywhere near his time. So if Finley can match that in race pace, I don't think there's much Lancer's going to be able to do here.
Well, if there's one thing he'll take from the race just previously, it'll be that he was definitely coming from a really good pace. But I'll let you run through the standings there, Ghost.
Yeah, it is Finley on pole position, his first pole position in ESRL, as DRL Lancer lines up on the front row with him. Speed Alcoholic takes P3, even though he's not going to be able to race, so it's actually Johnny Stokes in P3. Then Luca Rapassa on his debut, very decent showing in P5. Clemo in 6th, with Glowstick, Greg, Lewis, and Lost Super Spy, the rest of the top 10, with Scotty, the other Scott, Aces versus Kings behind Scott, which Scott will be very, very happy about. Chakalaka in B14, and then Matty Jones B17, and then Wiggy, who got disqualified after crashing in front of the pit lane.
Yeah, unfortunate really, just to be stopped there for that tiny bit too long on the game there. But as I was saying about Finley, put in quite the shift to try and chase after two Red Bulls who were working very well together on what amounted to 29 lap old medium tyres, and needed probably one more lap just to get himself into that position. But what a race that was previous.
It was a good race, but it was a struggle for me, that one.
I mean, believe it or not, it was a struggle for me. I'm getting over a cold at the moment. So,
yeah,
I know it's
snap.
a rough one. Yeah, but the only symptom I've had is a runny nose this whole time. I've had nothing else, but it's been super, super annoying.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But, well, race about to begin. I believe formation lap is on. But no Marcus, no Mar. So it's just about who can catch Finley. It was just like Lifebout in race 2. No one could really catch him at all. So whether Finley consigns Lancer to yet another P2, it remains to be seen. But as they go out on the formation lap, we're not far away from finding out.
No, not at all. Let's take a little look at the strategies as we go along. And it's mostly hard tyres for the majority of the grid. Top threes on the hards. Johnny Stokes, the medium runner, alone up there in the top 5. Then lost Super Spy on the mediums as well. And then there's Jacko and Matty Jones and Wiggy starting on those medium compound. But everybody else going hard on this occasion. It's always a risk going hard, I suppose, especially at a track like Singapore where safety cars are never too far away.
Yeah, I mean, I commentated on the ESRL team event yesterday, which is also Singapore. Every single car on the grid started on hards, so I guess in that case it doesn't matter. But when there are cars starting on mediums, you do have to be wary of them, at least to start with. Marcus in the chat saying that hards are by far the best tyre. But still, when you've got cars on mediums just behind you, you've got to keep them at bay, or at least be careful of them in the first stint, because otherwise you could end up in a bit of trouble. But of course, if you can make it to the second stint, then you're on the better strategy.
Noted, Marcus. I'll be taking that advice into tier 2, not this Tuesday coming, but the following, because we'll be at Singapore then, which I'm very excited for.
Me too. I'm excited for Singapore in general. I can't wait to not have to race Austria. But here comes Finley, taking his rightful spot at the front of the field to start the Singapore Grand Prix. Lancer lining up alongside on the inside line, so if Lancer gets a better start here, he should be able to take the race lead. But everyone lining up, 17 cars on the grid. We're about to get going in Singapore. So here we go. Waiting for the lights to come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Singapore Grand Prix. It's a great start from Finley from the front of the field. Lancer cannot draw alongside as everyone files past the AI of speed, of course, in the early stages. Lancer very wide going into turn 3, but getting away with it. Johnny Stokes and Luca side by side going down towards turn 4. It's going to be very, very close between them. Johnny Stokes takes the inside line and takes the place on those medium tyres. Great overtake from the Ferrari driver, but Luca hasn't given up. He's going to go back down the inside for the next corner. He's braked very late as the Aston Martin, but he's made the move stick. That's a fantastic move. Johnny, not really much he can do about it. Maybe a tiny touch as they went through the next corner, but Luca keeps the place. Brilliant, brilliant racing between those two.
Yeah, it was a good initial getaway from Johnny Stokes. I was riding on board with him. Obviously, he didn't have speed ahead to get in his way. He just sort of went straight through him. But Luca really caught onto him in towards turn number 5 down the Ruffles Boulevard, and that was it. And it was a very committed move. Cut the nose off of Johnny Stokes as well into the following corner and got his way up into P3, muscled his way in. And with a circuit like Singapore, it's going to be tough to make those moves in a lot of the unconventional places, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely, as Lancer holds on to Finley for now, but that's a poor error from Lancer in the final sector. It's lost him a lot of time, and Luca now right behind the Mercedes driver as they go down towards turn 1, using that ERS to try and stick with him. A lot of cars have used a fair bit of ERS as Aces versus Kings into the pit. No, sorry, a spin at the final corner for Aces, and his day goes from bad to worse so far, and it's only lap 1, or lap 2 rather. Down to P17 as Wiggy and Matty Jones go at it through turn 3. Looks like the Williams driver has gotten ahead for now as they approach the next corner.
Lucky not to get some wing
Luca down the inside of Lancer in the same corner. Luca makes the move as he did on Johnny Stokes a lap ago, and it's again a fantastic overtake from the debutant up to P2, and Lancer has got some work to do here. Made that mistake on the previous lap, and now he's paid the price with Luca getting past him at down the inside of the left-hander, and Luca chasing off to Finley now as well.
Yeah, another brave move from Luca. It looks like he's fairly well set on the race pace around this circuit, and he could be making Finley look behind him now. Finley's trying to open up that gap, trying to fend off any attacks with the DRS as it's going to be activated on the next lap. But so far Luca is slowly trying to reel him in as well. I did spot as well that JG Greg may be a little bit annoyed after lost Super Spy, made a bit of a move that forced the Alpine off the track. So that might be something the stewards look at a little bit later as well. And on Aces as well, he doesn't always have the best of luck. He shares some of that bad luck with me, I think, at times. But he's just got to get his head down and keep going. And he normally claws his way back in. So let's see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Luca has caught back up to Finley, so he's in the DRS range now, and that's where you need to be. DRS trains are very, very common around this track. Speed is heartbroken in the chat, saying he wishes he was racing, and Marcus is saying, why is Lancer only fast when he's racing against me? As his championship rival is down to P3 now, and Luca is right behind Finley. He is keeping the Alfa Romeo driver very honest at the moment, and this is a great effort from the debutant. Johnny Stokes right behind as well in P4, but he is on those medium tyres, so he is going to drop off in a few laps' time. Has lost Super Spy into the wall. I think he's done what I did a couple seasons ago at that same corner. He's locked the rears under braking and straight into the wall. No front wing, and a VSC is out.
Very easy to do coming through the Anderson Bridge. It's such a speedy complex, really, for what it is. As you come in, it's easy to lose it going around that tiny little kink that just before, and then it's almost blind, really, the corner and the braking zone, as the barrier's there in the way, and then you have to brake very, very heavily, and if you're not lucky you will lock up those tyres and you will end up in the barrier or even facing the wrong direction, causing quite the roadblock.
Yeah, absolutely, and luckily ghosting is on in ESRL. There was a time where it wasn't, and that would have been a lot more of a dramatic incident back in those times. But Finley's still leading this race as we wait for the VSC to clear and the green flags to come out. I do wonder where Speed's AI is going to finish, to be honest.
Yeah, he's currently sitting down in P15, so making his way around. Lost Super Spy and Aces have opted to come in. They'll hope the VSC stays out a little longer. As I say that, it comes to an end. So perhaps not the right time.
Yeah, here we go. Finley just getting away from Luca at the front for now, but Luca's still right behind, not losing any time under that VSC. Very nicely done from the pair of them as they head into the hairpin. Finley misses the apex, but Luca hits it perfectly, and look at this, he's right behind the Alfa Romeo driver, and DRS open. Is he going to go for a move? No, he backs off, makes sure he doesn't go for a move into this corner, and waits for a better opportunity, but Finley's in big trouble here.
Yeah, I think the better move is to make it in towards turn number 5. It's a much safer bet to defend it, because then you've got all of Sector 2 really to hold off your opponent through there, and there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities unless you want to be brave in towards the old Singapore sling and go side by side there. That's probably the only place that I could fathom a move being pulled off other than down the DRS straight in towards Sector 3.
Yeah, definitely, as Finley makes a huge error out of turn 3, just about manages to save the car, but Luca's going to get a brilliant exit out of this corner here. What a move from Luca, saw it happen perfectly, and Finley's under pressure from Lancer here as well. He's going to have the outside line, but he's going to get boxed in by the Aston Martin in front of him. Here comes Lancer around the outside of Finley, but he can't quite do it. He's got the inside for the next corner. Finley has to brake late, but there's nothing he can do to stop Lancer going side by side. He's going to have the inside for this corner though. They're still side by side as they go through, and Lancer just about gets his way ahead. Johnny Stokes is right there looking to pick up the pieces as well, but there were no pieces. Very clean driving from both.
That was either very close to the wall or a little tap on the wall from Lancer there, coming for the old Singapore sling. He looked like he made contact with it. I couldn't quite see from the angle, but that was some brave racing going through there. It is possible to go side by side at Singapore. It's possible to go side by side at any racing track, except maybe Monaco for the majority of it. But you know, it's always great seeing side by side action at Singapore, especially when it's as clean as that.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And Finley really struggling for race pace, at least initially at the moment, as Lancer trying desperately to stay within that 1 second range of Luca, but doesn't do it for the DRS down towards turn 1. As long as he nails the first sector, he should get it down towards the end of the sector, but it's going to be close. 8 tenths, nearly 9 tenths now, but he's just about managed to get the DRS, but he's got to be careful here. Luca is very fast on these hard tyres at the moment.
Yeah, he is very fast at the moment, and Lance has really got to try and stay with him as best as he can. He's got to maximise the DRS zones when he can, and he's really got to not become complacent during his middle sectors. And I think that's where Luca seems to be quite strong and quite confident on those tyres at the moment. Doesn't seem to be putting a foot wrong for the time being, although a little bit too much curb there perhaps. Well, clearly gained him a lot of time through that section.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a little bit too much curb, and then he gains 3 tenths on Lancer. So I think maybe that's just the right line to take. I certainly like taking a lot of curb through that corner, as JG Greg has binned it in the same corner further back. So he's down to P13 unfortunately, but Lancer is now out of DRS range. Speed has said he jinxed Finley, because he was talking about how Finley always joins here sometimes and runs away with the win, and then now he's down to P3, and also asking, who is Luca? Well, that's a good question. He is on his debut as far as we're concerned. And Finley gets himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits as well, which is not going to help his cause. And as he fights to stay with the race pace of Lancer, who also gets himself a 3-second time penalty, as the top guy's really struggling. Jacko out in the pit lane.
Oh, there, Jacko had enough, I think.
Yeah.
Of going around this circuit. Don't blame him, in all honesty. He has just come off the back of a race in Austria, and he's checked out for the night, I think. But this is a turn of events, so penalties now for Lancer and Finley.
Finley hit the wall there on that left-hander. I don't know if he's got any damage, but it was a fairly hefty hit as he understeered into it. So his race suddenly turning on its head. It was looking like he could run away with this one after qualifying and after lap 1, and suddenly now he's in P3, hitting walls, making mistakes, and under pressure.
Olive green damage at best, if he has got any. I can't see any cosmetic damage on that front wing of that Alfa Romeo, but it's certainly not what you want to be doing, hitting the walls around here. Because if you do it too hard or too many times, you will finally end up getting yourself some damage, and it will really cost you in a race as Finley almost loses it out of the penultimate corner.
He is really struggling at the moment on those hard tyres. Meanwhile, Luca has a 2.2 second lead. He is running away with this race as Lancer is going to be thinking, am I going to come second again? And, well, by the looks of things at the moment, it certainly seems likely. But Johnny Stokes is on that different strategy, so he will get the undercut on these guys, but once the others come in for the fresh mediums, they are going to reel him in very, very quickly. So we will see how it works out for the Ferrari driver, but he's P2 in the championship. Finley nearly loses it again just in front of him. Lewis and Glowstick, meanwhile, side by side, further back down the track, and Lewis makes the move up to P6 in the Williams. He's been driving very well this season, Lewis has.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first I've seen of him. I don't think he was at Abu Dhabi from memory, but Abu Dhabi seems like it was so long ago. But
big mistake from Johnny Stokes in the meantime, where we're talking about Lewis. He lost the rear through there, and he's lost about a second of time due to that. Clemo now right behind him as well. Those mediums starting to drop off, perhaps.
Speed full of curses. He's mentioning drivers, and they're all making mistakes at the very mention. He's cursed Johnny now. He's cursed Finley. Who next? Is Luca going to make a mistake? I don't know. We'll see as we go through. But yeah, it was very reminiscent for a moment of what's happened?
Another
Safety
VSC.
car, virtual.
Yeah, I think that was one of the Alpines lost it in Sector 3.
It was B17, no wing. He's done it in the Anderson Bridge.
Go on then, Sumo, keep going.
But yeah, no, the little train they had going on there, though, was rather reminiscent of a moment that, well, one of the times when I was probably in my better days as a racer, where me, you, and AP were all fighting around this circuit at Season 4 sprints. That was a good race.
That was a good race.
We
good
all
old
stayed
days.
in the same places, but we never left each other for that entire race.
Yeah, good old days. Back when we were all good.
Yeah.
But Speed has just said DRL Lancer in the chat, so oh goodness me, we're about to see a Mercedes in the wall, Sumo.
Oh dear, yeah, he's saying I think he has a good opportunity to be fast at the end of the race. Oh dear, if Lancer crashes out and takes a look at the chat, he will not be happy. I can tell you that much. 4.2 seconds that gap between Luca and Lancer, in a world of his own in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, green flag's back and Finley's taken full advantage. Lancer has been caught out big time by that VSC, and Finley just jumps him straight away down towards the corner. A beautiful opportunistic move from the British driver, and Lancer down to P3 now with Johnny Stokes just behind him. Speed's done it, and yeah, Lancer nearly losing it again out the penultimate corner.
Oh dear, move over JBS Steve, there's a new George Russell in town.
Speed, just shut up, don't say anyone else's name.
Oh dear. Gosh, don't mention any names, there'll be a catastrophe. Who do you want next? Oh god.
He is on a rampage.
Absolutely. Gosh.
Well, Lancer does have the DRS, as does Johnny. He's now back with them due to that mistake from Lancer. And Lancer nearly into the back of Finley there. Just about manages to stay behind him. But Luca now, 3.8 seconds is that gap. He is just, like you say, in a world of his own here. No one can match him for pace right now, as the other three behind him are fighting it out for P2.
Yeah, it's quite a little fight they've got going on their hands. They can't really do much as far as overtaking. They're not getting all that close to each other, but we'll see. It's going to get interesting once the stops come round, I think. And oh yeah, Luca's going to continue to stretch his legs. He's going to continue to open up that gap, I think. And I don't know, Finley and Lancer may struggle to match him on the pace there as well. Marcus trying to get Speed to mention Scott in the chat. I don't even need to mention his name. It says Speed in the chat. That speaks volumes on its own.
Oh, Scott's not going to be happy when he sees that in the chat back on the stream. But Lancer now out of DRS range of Finley very briefly. Oh, and that's Clemo round in the background in the Mercedes at the final corner. He was just trying to stay with them, but he has binned it himself. I don't think he got any damage. He avoided the wall, but he's down to P8. And he's going to have to regain that lost momentum. And that is a real shame for the German, who was doing well to stick with them.
Yeah, it certainly has. And Scott has actually, he's come into the pit. I think he must have taken advantage of that VSC, and he's gone onto the medium tyres early.
Yeah, he certainly has, but Speed has said he's having a good race there in P10, which is, well, never a good thing. So watch out for Scott. We'll see if Speed's curse continues. But look at this, Luca up in 4 seconds in front now of Finley, and there's not really much that the drivers behind can do about it. He is just nailing the track at the moment, is Luca Rapassa, and it could be a debut win for him as Finley in the background there loses the rear, just to rub it in how the difference in consistency between these drivers. I think on raw pace they're fairly similar. It's just I'm just seeing Finley, Lancer and Johnny all over the road at certain points, and Luca just seems glued down.
Speed saying it's going to be an all dry race, no rain on the way to dampen drivers' parades as they go through, but Lancer's trying to close back in, and Jacko's finally left the session as well. There's a yellow flag. Who's that round? It's Aces again.
Oh dear.
He's round just... I can't remember the corner names. I think that's turn 8.
Yeah, me neither. But Speed got the wrong Haas by the looks of it.
Turn 9, and that's 10.
Right. Well, it's still these three behind. It's now 5.3 seconds, the gap to Luca, as these three continue to oversteer out of every single corner by the looks of it. I don't think I've seen them do a corner right in, all three of them do a corner right in quite some time. And, well, there you go, there's one. They all did that one perfectly reasonably as Wiggy comes into the pits for Alpine. That'll be a set of fresh, hard tyres to the end of the race.
Yeah, Scott promoted up another place. He's the lead of the second half of the grid, you could say, as they're continuing onward. But Finley, Lancer, Johnny, all still close together. That undercut's still definitely on for Johnny Stokes. He seems to have some decent race pace actually on those mediums, or perhaps the two ahead of him are just struggling on those hard tyres. Somebody else has put it in the wall or lost it just at the Anderson Bridge. That's Scotty. He's lost it. Kept his wing by the looks of things, but definitely gone round there.
I think that might have been Clemo as well, Scott, because he's now 4.5 seconds behind Glowstick. Or perhaps it was Scotty and Clemo just got past him. I'm not sure. But Lost Super Spy now goes round as the next victim of the Singapore street circuit. And he's also lost a front left wing end plate. So that's going to be another impromptu pit stop for the Red Bull driver, and he's going to be disappointed.
Still doing better than me and Mar would have if we had raced, said Marcus. Yeah, you might have put each other into the wall probably, by the sounds of things. Blimey. I have to say, I'm sure Scott will keep you on a short leash after giving you a race ban.
Wiggy nearly going around the outside of the Red Bull, but just had to back off and then hit him in the back as they braked for the corner. So Lost Super Spy with that front left end plate missing, struggling to make the corners, and Wiggy sends it to the inside of the next corner. Very unconventional place to overtake, but he's made it work, and lost Super Spy heading into the pits anyway. But Wiggy just looking to race someone this race at the moment. He's 17 seconds behind anyone else. And by the way, Lancer has another 3-second time penalty. It's 6 seconds on that Mercedes now.
Surprisingly easy to get time penalties at the Singapore circuit, to be honest. There's lots of places you can do it. Turn 4 on the entrance is very easy to get a time penalty. At the exit of turn 6, it's easy to get another time penalty there as well. Lots of areas, really. Even on the exit of that hairpin, just outside of the Anderson Bridge, it's super easy to get yourself a time penalty. In towards turn 1, lots of places, in all honesty. So I'm not surprised we'll see a few of them as you go through as well. And Wiggy was aided by the fact that Super Spy had some damage on his front wing there, so that probably made it a lot easier for him to make the pass. Still a brave pass to make though, through that final chicane.
Yeah, for sure. It does seem like Lance are really struggling at this circuit though for race pace at the moment. Another bit of a moment through that corner there, losing the rear a tad, but just about keeping it up. And Speed in the chat saying this track is difficult to drive during the race when your tyres wear. It gets tough. It certainly does. And Lancer got 11 seconds in APP Elite last week apparently, so he's just aiming to beat that, says Marcus. Which, well, doesn't bode well, but we've got plenty more race to go. We're not even halfway through, and he's already got 6 seconds penalties, and now he's being distracted by this Red Bull of Lost Super Spy, who's being lapped just in front of him, but he's just about to get past him now, but he's 1.2 seconds behind Finley, so the damage has been done.
Well, Speed asking if he should come back. If his power comes back, you're currently a lap down.
Yeah, you've just been lapped, Speed, so I don't know if that's a good idea.
No, unless you can unlap yourself, then perhaps not. But either way, definitely still lots to go on here. Lance definitely seems to be struggling a little bit, and I think to add to the point of the track of the tyres not being so nice as you get later on through the session. I think this track doesn't see a lot of racing action other than Formula 1, so the grip levels are going to be a lot lower than most other conventional circuits that host support races and stuff like that, because this is one of those tracks where it's just Formula 1 that race here. So the rubber laid down on the circuit isn't going to be too numerous, and that's why the tyres are going to be very, very slippy as you get later on into the stint. You just got to be careful. You just got to be smart about how you're racing, and use the narrowness of the track to your advantage, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, Lewis thinking the track is a bit wider than it is, as he gets himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits, but not really anywhere near any other cars, and a lot of cars that is the case for at the moment. Lewis, Glowstick, Clemo, Luca, of course, Scott himself, Wiggy, Aces, B17, Lost Super Spy. None of them anywhere near any other cars. Greg and Matty Jones, and then Finley, Lancer and Johnny are the only battles on track at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long sort of burn, the battles around Singapore, as Johnny Stokes finally coming in there. He's going to pull the trigger on that undercut and see what he can do, almost into the wall at the pits as he slowed right down. Let's see, comes out.
That's a bin, that could be a safety car.
No, he's in the pits. He's in the pits.
Okay. I couldn't see. So,
an
early retirement.
Johnny.
And he has been lapped, so it's not surprising, really. But a shame for him. But Johnny Stokes comes out the pits. Is it going to be clean air? Yes, it is. Crucially, very clean air for Johnny Stokes. He's got a lot of track ahead of him. So big opportunity here to get as much of an undercut as possible, to try and get himself a podium here. I think Luca will be out of reach, but if he can really make those hards work, then he could be onto a winner here. But it's going to be very tricky for him once the others get those medium tyres on. They are going to chase him down very, very fast.
All over the back of Matty Jones is JAG Greg. He is searching for a way past, has a little look, thinks about it, but doesn't initiate any move in towards that corner. This is the final points paying position that they're fighting over, so it is a very, very important battle for these two, at least as far as putting some points on the board is concerned. And Marcus wants Greg to send it, and this is probably the closest battle on track actually. It's now all opened up and the only battle now.
Yeah, absolutely, and it looks like Matty is better in the corners than Greg, as Greg has a huge moment into the hairpin.
That's a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Bad to worse for Lancer, as you say. He's up to 11 seconds of penalties, and that's music to the ears of Johnny Stokes, who now has an even better chance of taking away a podium today. But Lancer out the pits on the medium tyres. Where's Johnny? He's coming around the last corner now, down towards turn 1. Where are Finley and Lancer? They're ahead of him as he comes down towards turn 1. Through he goes, and he has not cleared Finley, which is a huge surprise to me, at least. Lancer gets a big moment of oversteer on the exit. Johnny's got the inside line for the next corner, but Lancer cuts over the whole curb to get the best exit he can. I don't know how Johnny's going to feel about that one, because Lancer definitely did not stay on the track to make that move.
Marcus saying he's fully cursed Lancer here, especially with those time penalties. I love you guys to head out and enjoy it. And Speed, thanks for tuning in for as long as you can. Shame you couldn't race, but we'll see you again soon, I'm sure, as it's battery running low. And it seems like your dog's got a lot to say this evening, Ghost.
Oh,
really enjoying
my dog's always got an awful lot to say. He's a Pomeranian, so an awful lot of
there's
talking.
Glow stick down the inside of the Alpine, almost into the Singapore Sling. He thought about it. It is possible. I've done it before for sure, but backs out of it quite sensibly on that occasion. That McLaren looking very fast.
Yeah, here he comes with the DRS now, down the inside of Greg. Lewis gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as our race leader also comes in. Luca finally in for the medium tyres, and he's going to exit in the lead as well. What a race this is turning out to be for Luca.
Yeah, it is absolutely dominant. Comes to mind. There's a phrase there. Clemo's been promoted into P2, at least provisionally. He has not yet stopped. Will he try and go long, and then onto some soft tyres to try and reap the rewards? I don't know.
Must have been a mistake from Scotty as Lancer gets past him, but he is on 17-lap-old hard tyres, and Johnny already feeling the burn on those hard tyres compared to the mediums. As he's dropped back quite a lot from Lancer and Finley already. Scotty gets out the way diligently for his teammate. It's good teamwork from the two, but Scotty not able to hold up the cars ahead, as I think that was the Ferrari plan.
Yeah, I don't know. Ferrari tend to have a lot of plans, don't they? What plan letter was that? D, E, F? Who knows?
Well, Finley very wide through the hairpin there, but it's not going to matter too much in terms of catching Clemo, who's on 17-lap-old hard tyres, trying to hold up Finley for Lancer's sake, I would imagine, but Lancer with 11 seconds of penalties, it's going to be tricky for him to gain anything from this one. He might even still lose out to Johnny, even though Johnny is so much slower than them at this point.
Yeah, Clemo, I was going to peel into the pit lane, so he won't be much of a roadblock anymore. And Lancer, it looks like he's set to set the fastest lap. There he goes. He did have that fastest middle sector, I noticed, so I was keeping an eye on him. Finley and Lancer set them both one after the other. But Lancer pushing and pushing and pushing, but I don't know how much it's going to help him, especially if he has to come in, and he had a big moment there out of turn 3.
Yeah, he certainly did. As Clemo pits, also getting a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and Greg gets one as well. So many people getting pit lane speeding penalties today. Must be a difficult entry into that pit lane here at Singapore today. But Scott, meanwhile, is up to P7 out of all of this.
Yeah, he's having a lovely little fight here with Lewis and Glowstick as they go down Raffles Boulevard now. Looks to the inside as the Haas doesn't quite go for the move. Lewis doing well, but he has got that time penalty to contend with the McLaren of Glowstick, looking to get the up and under perhaps.
Oh.
Goes to the outside again. This is a beautiful move if he can pull it off. There he goes. Scott was boxed in, really had nowhere to go, had to avoid the car, and that was a very good move from Glowstick.
Yeah, it certainly was. Beautiful move. He'll be very pleased with that one. And now he goes off to try and catch Lewis, 1.4 seconds in front. And Lewis does have that pit lane speeding penalty, so Glowstick got a real chance of a top 6 finish here, which I think he would be delighted with. Meanwhile, Lancer right behind Finley, and there's the fastest lap for Luca Rapassa, a 30.4. And he is showing no signs of letting up for this race win.
Yeah, Marcus is happy with Glowstick's move there, really putting in the work for McLaren this evening. Here's Glowstick, and I'm sure if Speed was still here, he would definitely be happy with that one as well. He'll be chasing after that, and the way Lance is going, if he gets any more penalties, he could even gain another position in good Glowstick.
Yeah, absolutely right. Scotty, meanwhile, into the pits as well for a fresh set of the medium tyres. He's going to exit all the way down in P10, though, I think. And not really much left in this race for him other than that final point. Wiggy's actually going to be very close to getting past him. Here comes turn 1 for the Alpine driver, and there's the Ferrari just in front. But Wiggy is on those 8-lap-old hard tyres, so Scotty should be able to gap him fairly quickly on his opening lap.
Lance seems to have somewhat of a better lease of life on these mediums. He was very close to the back of Finley a little while ago. He's dropped off a tiny bit, but he's staying with him. It's not going to be much help, really. I think he needs clear air, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Does Lancer, because it's just holding him up, and it's going to allow the likes of Johnny Stokes to stay closer than he would like, and invite even the likes of Glowstick in as well. I mean, the gap from Johnny to Lewis is currently 12.3, so it's about 15 seconds between Glowstick and Lancer thus far, with his penalty being 11. If he was to get maybe even one more track limits penalty, depending on how much pace Glowstick has, it could look like trouble for Lancer.
Yeah, it could indeed. Johnny Stokes only 3.5 seconds behind. We do have a yellow flag. A safety car would be an absolute disaster for Lancer as he goes down the inside of Finley, down towards the corner with the DRS, gets the move done but breaks very late and goes deep on the exit. Finley trying to do the up and under, but Lancer covers him off, and he's up to P2 on track, but after penalties it will be P4 as it stands.
Just about enough space for them to go and make that little move there as they went through. Matty Jones now into the pits. 3 second penalty. There it is.
14 seconds for Lancer now. And how many penalties does Lewis have? He has 8 seconds as well, so he's not really in the hunt. As JG Greg out the race, but in the pit lane. And yeah, a safety car here, and a late safety car in this race. And Lancer is looking at not even scoring any points today, to be honest.
Yeah, for certain. A late safety car would really throw a fly in the ointment there, and he'd get 5 seconds of that penalty removed, but then he'd still have 9 seconds of time penalties. So it really wouldn't help him all that much. He's just got to hope that it stays clean. There's yellow flags following a few drivers around, but it's just Wiggy coming back onto the track, maybe? No, it's the retired Greg coming back out onto the track. As I think Johnny Stokes. Oh no, it's Lancer and Finley that approached him, and Finley's on the attack again. Yeah,
he certainly is. He's just behind Lancer. He's not going to leave him alone, as Glowstick is the next victim of track limits, and there's a bit of contact between Finley and Lancer. They nearly take each other out there on the exit of that corner, but just about get away with it. That could have been a real disaster for the both of them, but Finley loses out in the end. And, well, these two getting a little feisty now, but there's not really any need. Finley only has 3 seconds of penalties, Lancer 14. So Finley doesn't need to get past the Mercedes here. as they go through the hairpin. But he's a racer. He's going to want to get past and give himself a better chance of staying in front of Johnny Stokes, because that's really his battle at the moment. It's for P2 with Johnny Stokes, who's 3.7 behind him.
Yeah, good luck telling a racing driver to back off, guys. It never ends well. It's like trying to take a toy away from a dog. It's not on. Doesn't work.
But here comes Finley. Marcus saying that Finley and Lancer are the new him and Ma, which I think is too much to say. Lancer's round! Lancer's round! He's done a fantastic 360, though, to be fair to him. He's back on the road again, but he's down to P4, and to be honest, he's really gotten away with that. He's just gone down to where he would have been originally. That could have been a lot worse.
Max Verstappen, eat your heart out. There you go. Look at that. DRL Lancer just about. And Finley, the composure not to brick it right there. Can't go and spinning like that. If only Ghosted was off, that would have been a plane crash right there between those two. Finley just about avoiding it. That must have been terrifying to witness in the cockpit.
Absolutely right, and well, I perhaps spoke too soon about that not being too consequential for Lancer. He's 6 seconds. He's got 6 seconds more penalties than Lewis, and he's only 8 seconds ahead. So if he keeps making mistakes, then he could be down to P5 here, and even Glowstick as well, only 5 seconds behind Lewis. In terms of gap to leader, yeah, Glowstick is 12 seconds or so behind Lancer. And there's 11 seconds of penalties to the good for Glowstick. So Lancer, if he's not careful here, another mistake, and he's going to easily find himself down in P6 in this race.
Well, if Scott was on any fresher tyres, he'd be laughing, really, wouldn't he? If he had some pace in him, he'd be getting up into P4.
Yeah, he's doing well at the moment. 14-lap-old mediums, though. Lancer into the pits. He's into the pits in that Mercedes. It's going to be a set of softs to the end, I imagine. Going for fastest lap, but it's just going to lose him more positions and more points. No, he's retired. He's retired from the race. In the pit lane, he's had enough. And it's music to the ears of Short Marcus and TF Mar10, who've both got a race ban, and the championship leader is out the race.
Oh dear, it's just going to ignite more fuel onto the pyre, I think. There, that one, Luca, as we think about the championship leader of this race, it's just been a practice session for him, really. Yeah. He's been unhindered since he got that pass done on those early laps, and that's it. He's checked out. He's just been driving around. 13-second gap to Finley behind as well. And Johnny Stokes, let's see where he is as far as his penalty situation goes. He is 0.3 seconds behind Finley as far as penalties are concerned. So if those 0.1 now, yeah. If those tyres come into their own, those hard tyres, that could be Johnny Stokes of P2.
I think it's a very good possibility for that to happen. It's 3.08, but Finley just keeps hemorrhaging time at every corner at the moment to the Ferrari. Johnny Stokes driving his heart out right now and looking for that P2 finish. What's the gap between him and Lancer in the championship, Sumo?
Let me have a look. Let me get my numbers up. I had it all up a second ago, but I closed all my tabs like a fool. I'm thinking I won't need this again. Gap between... What's the gap I'm looking at, guys? Sorry, Lancer.
Between Johnny Stokes and Lancer in the championship.
9 points.
So, right, as it stands, Johnny Stokes looks set to take the championship lead here in Singapore. Lancer has had an awful day, and an early retirement in the end means that he's not going to score any points from this one, and Short Marcus and Mar10 are still very much in this championship. Clemo down in P6 at the moment, but Luca Rapassa, if he keeps racing in the ESRL, he's in with a shot as well. If he can, maybe he's just a Singapore specialist, who knows, but if he can keep up race pace like this throughout this season, even he could be a threat for the championship, even after missing the first 3 races.
Well, someone else is going to be a big winner out of this one is Lewis. He's tied currently with Clemo, and he's going to outscore him. and he may yet, well, he won't benefit from any time penalties, but I think he'll just about keep hold of P4.
How far
Maybe
behind
not.
Lancer is he?
Let's. Well, I'm not talking about. Well, he's 23. No, yeah, 23
Okay.
points behind Lancer, but he'll at
Okay.
least score big over Clemo, who he's currently
Yeah.
in front of.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, like you say, it's he's not taking any penalty advantage here. He's got 8 seconds of penalties to his name. But at the moment, he's looking like a solid P4 candidate. And Johnny Stokes back up to 3.2 seconds is that gap between him and Finley. And he's out of ERS as well, so he's really pushing to try and get that P2. He is not satisfied with just a podium from this one.
Oh dear, you shouldn't be draining all your ERS here at Singapore. You don't really need to use it all that often. In all honesty, only on the bigger straight sections, really.
Yeah, for sure, but he is desperately trying to get within that 3 seconds, but going wide at that corner is not going to help him. He lost 2 or 3 tenths from that as Finley stretches that lead back out to 3.9 seconds through the hairpin, and he's looking like he might just be able to take this P2 after all, but who knows as those mediums start to wear, and it's not over yet. We still could have a safety car in this one. 2 more DNFs and Speed's going to get a point.
Yeah, it's possible. He's just going around there. I was just looking at the driver's ERS situation. The only driver with a decent amount of ERS is Speed. That's the AI.
Well, he is motoring along at the moment, but I don't think even if his AI does finish P10, he'll get himself a point. But he'll get himself a point in spirit, that's for sure, as Luca just going to give him some screen time. There's not really much else going on the track. Right on board with the Aston Martin driver. He is just on rails every single corner. He's just using all the track and absolutely nailing this Singapore circuit.
Yeah, he certainly is. Takes lots of curb through there. I might take some notes here from Luca as I'm riding on board. Just watch his racing lines and a little bit of a lock up there. Those tyres screeching through the hairpin after the Anderson Bridge, but doesn't look phased by it. Doesn't look bothered really. Locking up again there though. Big one.
Under no threat is the Aston Martin driver, 16 seconds clear of the rest of the field. After a man who qualified P5, you wouldn't expect to have a 16-second lead with 4 laps to go, but that's the situation we find ourselves in. And he has been an absolute beast in this race, it has to be said. Some fine overtakes as well in the early laps, and ever since he took the lead, he's never looked back.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you can be as fast as you like over a 1 lap pace, but if you're not fast during a race, it doesn't matter. Right? If you're, it's Luca's been absolutely fast. He's been faultless throughout this whole time, and he may have qualified P5, but look where he is now. He's leading the race. It's all about the race pace. It doesn't matter where you position yourself in qualifying. If you can race well and you've got the pace to make your way up the field, you can be winning races.
Yeah, absolutely right. And well, there just doesn't seem to be any problems for him at the moment. I hope I haven't just jinxed him, but there's only 3.5 laps left to go, and he doesn't have to take any risks at all. He is perfectly happy right where he is. Meanwhile, Clemo and Glowstick are teetering on the edge of having a battle here. Clemo has 5 seconds of penalties compared to Glowstick's 3 seconds. But if he can clear the McLaren, then he's got a real shot here at gaining those 2 seconds, because he did gain a lot of time in the last few laps. But a big mistake there, nearly into the wall and into the back of the McLaren as well. But keeping hold of it, and Clemo going to be looking for a top 5 finish here.
Yeah, certainly. He's going to give it his best go in that Mercedes there. Try and minimise the damage from Lewis being those 2 places ahead of him, as he is so far. Bring up the penalty situation again. So yeah, looks like Glow Stick's definitely out of a shout for taking P4. Lewis is doing a good job to cover that off. Clemo would need to get past and then gain 2 seconds on Glow Stick in order to keep that position, and he's going to go for it into that final chicane. Looks to the inside, maybe backs out sensibly though. Not a conventional place for an overtake. May think about it in towards the next lot of DRS zones.
Yeah, for sure. He's got a chance here, has the German driver. I will say there's something a little bit cursed about a Max Verstappen helmet in a Mercedes, but it's not phasing him at this point as he goes through the first few corners, and that's a mistake from Glow Stick, and Clemo is going to have a great chance here down the DRS straight to take this place, and then he's going to have to gain 2 seconds in the last 3 laps to be able to take P5. Here he goes to the inside with the DRS. He's got no ERS left, but it doesn't matter. He makes the move before the braking zone, gets it stopped for the corner as well, and now it's Operation Gain 2 seconds as Scott is under pressure from his namesake as well in the Ferrari. Here comes Scotty here to the inside of the Haas driver, who's driven so well today, but Scotty goes very deep on the exit, and Scott comes back at him round the outside, but he can't make the move stick, and Scotty up to P7. So Scott's got to try in the next 2.5 laps to not lose 3 seconds to that Ferrari, but I think that's going to be a tall order given the tyre situation between the two.
20 lap old medium tyres. I think you'll be glad to see the back of this race after the last lap there, because those tyres must be hurting.
Yeah, absolutely. They cannot be fun to drive on, those tyres. 20 laps old. He is going to get himself a few points, and he deserves them. He's driven well today as Scott. But, yeah, that is not going to be a situation that is going to be fun to drive in. Glowstick, meanwhile, still has the DRS from Clemo. That's what he needs to do. And look at the gap between Johnny and Finley, by the way, 3.1. It has come down again, and Johnny is still not out the running for this P2 as Glowstick makes a big mistake through turn 3 and loses the DRS crucially down towards the next DRS zone. And that's going to give Clemo a huge opportunity. He's got 2 laps to gain 0.8 of a second, and I think he's perfectly capable of that. As Finley out! He's binned it in the hairpin. He's done exactly what I did in APP Elite, exactly what someone else did in qualifying as well. I can't remember who it was, but he has binned it in the tunnel section, and that is going to gift a podium finish to Lewis. Finley's going to be absolutely gutted. He will still be classified, but he's not going to score any points. And B17, 1 minute and 8 seconds behind P10 right now, is going to get himself a point.
Luca Raposa, 3-second time penalty. Not that it matters, but he's got himself one anyway.
He is human.
He is. There you go. And Johnny Stokes, he'll be happy with that. He'll be stoked about a P2, an easier one at least. He can sit easy now. Finley, WTF happened, says Marcus. I'll tell you what happened, Marcus. Speed happened. Every driver that has been mentioned in the chat, apart from Scott, has made a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And Scott is now out that 3-second range, by the way, and Clemo has gapped Glowstick by 3.7 already. As we go on to the last lap. I'm just going to ride on board with Luca for these last couple of sectors. There's nothing else happening on track. This man has driven so well on his debut in ESRL. It was what now looks like a lackluster qualifying performance, as he's going to win this race by some 20 seconds. Scott finally gets himself a track limits penalty as well in the meantime on the final lap. But Luca Ripasa on his ESRL debut, what a race it has been for him. What a drive as he comes round the final corner to win the Singapore Grand Prix. Not a single person on this track could get anywhere near him today. Johnny Stokes, 24 seconds down the road, is going to finish in P2 as he comes around the last few corners. We've just got to keep watch if anyone else bins it here, because anything's possible now. But Johnny Stokes round the final corner, a great P2, and he becomes the championship leader in ESRL. He's going to be very, very happy with that. Lewis AP comes home in P3. It's a podium for him, very well deserved. Clemo is going to secure P4 as well, with Glowstick in the top 5. He's going to be ecstatic with that one. Scotty here is going to finish P6 as well, as Glowstick round the final corner, across the line, into the wall, and the end of the race. But it doesn't matter. That's a top 5 finish for him. Scotty here in P6. Scott, 5 seconds down the road, is going to finish a very respectable P7, with Wiggy down in P8. And then Matty Jones in B17 gets himself a point.
A very expensive celebration is that, crashing over the line, isn't it? That's real Formula One. I mean, they wouldn't do that, but millions that could cost, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Apart from Scott Sumo, but Scotty did make a mistake. Scotty did, but Scott didn't.
True. Yeah. Maybe we can say that Speed was talking about Scotty instead of Scott, just to keep the curse alive. But. That is it for your Singapore Grand Prix. You got any thoughts on driver of the day, Sumo?
Oh gosh, driver! I've got to give it to Luca, right?
Yeah,
faultless. I don't think I could give it to anybody else.
Exactly.
Maybe Johnny Stokes.
Yeah, he would be the only other one, but I'm pretty sure Luca deserves it here.
He just levitated.
Yeah. That must be why, yeah. That must be why he was so quick. He just didn't have to make any contact with the track.
Must be a Jedi.
But Finley, bottle job at its finest, he says in the chat. But that was after quali. As he now says he's done it 2 races in a row. Both on lap 30. He did it in the team event yesterday as well, in the same track, same lap, and he's binned it. So Finley, not a fan of Singapore at the moment, but Luca Rapassa wins the race. His fastest lap, some 2 seconds faster than anyone else who was on the same tyre. Wins the race in dominant fashion. You're not going to see a much more dominant win than that around Singapore. Johnny Stokes and Lewis AP round up the podium, with Johnny taking the championship lead. Clemo in P4 and Glowstick in the top 5. Scotty here in P6, with Scott in a respectful P7. Wiggy, Matty Jones and B17 are the last of the points finishers. Finley bottles it on the penultimate lap to finish P11. Speed's AI finishes P12, and then a bunch of DNFs, including DRL Lancer, who will score 0 points. And his championship has got a little bit harder.
Yeah, it certainly did. And yes, Glowstick, we did catch that move. It was beautiful. We did see that. You can clip that and watch that back a couple times. That's what I'm doing after the race.
Well, it was a fantastic race. And a fantastic performance from Luca. I think we could all take some notes from that one, as Singapore's coming up in APP in a week and a half's time. But that being said, Luca, driver of the day as well, and he says he's done that without any practice in the chat, which, I mean, just stop. Stop and take in the sights for a bit. It's a lovely city, Singapore. I think he could have stopped off on the final lap, got himself a nice turkey sandwich and a nice cup of coffee, got him back in the car and still won the race.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Maybe even, done a Kimmy and gone have an ice cream on your yacht and then come back out,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anyway, it's been a pleasure commentating on this Grand Prix. Hope you've all enjoyed it in the chat as well, and any viewers later on as well. But thank you to Sumo. Have you got anything more to say before we sign off?
No more to say. Let's just hope that Martin and Marcus have had time to cool down and can come back a bit more clear-headed for the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. The track definitely missed the both of them today. So we'll see them again next week, I'm sure. But in the meantime, anyone who's watching, if you're a fan of Elite Settings Leagues, APP Elite is happening on Sundays at 7:50 p.m. UK. So if you want an invite, let me know. We don't clash with any of ESRL's races, so just getting that out there. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you haven't already, and hit the subscribe button as well, as I aim for 200 subscribers perhaps in the future. But thank you all ever so much for watching. Thank you so much to Sumo for being my man in the box today as well. Always a pleasure to commentate with you, mate.
Yeah, always a pleasure, my friend.
So thank you all. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, and we'll see you all next week for more ESRL. Goodbye.